Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment is what I do. We are going to talk about The Last of Us. The hit video game is now a television series on HBO Max, and it looks like getting off to an all right start. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break the episode down. And before we do, though, I need y'all to do what y'all always do for me. Comment, like, subscribe, and share to Be Real with D Real page so that when new material comes out, you get it. If you digging what a brother shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the page. Now, we are on episode 1 of The Last of Us. And when the episode begins, it starts all the way back in 1968. And we see these two, like kind of old scientist types, and they're on a Dick Cavett type talk show. If you don't know who Dick Cavett is, look it up. You have a smartphone. Cavett. Anyway, they're on this show and they're talking about, how they think the world's going to end. And the first guy kind of gives this long-winded explanation, and the host wants to crack a joke about it. But then when my man lays out the premise of what actually happens, is there's this fungi, and this fungi is able to take control of people's bodies and control their actions. At least that is how that is explained by that particular expert. Then we flash forward to 2003 when it actually takes effect, and that is when we meet Joel. Joel and Tommy, of course, Tommy is his bro, and Joel and Tommy do everything together. They like peas and carrots. And so, we kind of get that bond between them. And then we also get to meet Joel's daughter, Sarah, who is played by Nico Parker. Very, very lovely young lady. But she's not around very long because, of course, if you follow the video game, we all know that Joel's daughter dies. Because the military is kind of helpless against this fungus that is changing and mutating people and causing them to attack the uninfected and infect them. And they're basically zombie-like. The first time we see somebody affected by the virus is this old lady who Joel's daughter goes to see and hang out with, talk to, this kind of a thing. And, she's kind of like bedridden and, suffering from dementia, that kind of a thing. But then once she gets that virus in her, woo, she gets healthy. She's up and around, and she attacks her daughter, drains her, I'm not drained, but turns them into, I'm going to call them fungi zombies. Let's go with that. And they Joel and his brother Tommy are out on a job when all of this starts going down, because there's TV broadcasts going on saying stay in your homes and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth, and jets flying overhead, and you can hear explosions in the distance. And of course, like all little kids always do, Sarah goes out of the house. And when Sarah goes out of the house, that's when she finds out her neighbor's a zombie. But Joel shows up in time to save his daughter and incapacitates the zombie. But then the other two family members who she has infected come out to attack, but they drive off in the truck. And so they're in the truck trying to figure out what they're going to do, where they're going to go. And then there's a light bulb moment when Joel's daughter says, "What if there is no place to go?" And it's like, think about it. If there's something in the air, it's an airborne pathogen. We all breathe air. So the best thing to have done would have been to stay out of the air. But nah, they start driving towards the military. Maybe the military will help us. The military wounds Joel and kills his daughter. And Tommy and Joel get separated. Flash forward 20 years, yes, to 2023. And there are zones that are safe, and there are zones that are not so safe. And even though the safe zones are safe, there's still all kind of crazy labor going on. If you've ever watched The Walking Dead and seen how in a post-apocalyptic society, everything breaks down to who has the most power, who has the most guns, who has the most resources. Those are the people that hold all the power, and all the rest of us work for them or work with them. And when we see Joel, that's what Joel's kind of doing. He's working in this zone, and they give out these little vouchers so that you can buy food and bargain and all of these kinds of things. And then we also get to meet Tess. We meet Tess, who is Joel's partner, who seems to be pretty slick about it, because when we first meet her, she's got a swole up face, a busted lip, and a black eye because she's trying to fight for a battery to put in a truck so they can get the heck out of that zone. But then later on, we meet Elle. Yeah, and Elle is chained up in a room, and she's being all foul-mouthed and disrespectful, as 14-year-olds usually are. Eventually, a lady by the name of Marlene lets her know her importance and that they've got to get her the heck out of this zone into a place where her uniqueness, that's what we're going to call it for now, for those of you that haven't played the video game, and she must be protected by all costs. And then we find out that Marlene and her partner are trying to get Elle out of the zone, but they get into a firefight and Marlene gets injured. At the same time, Tess and Joel are taking the secret route through the sewers to go and get revenge on the guy who cheated them out of their battery. Come to find out, this same sleazy guy is trying to sell Marlene that same battery and ambush her, and they've been in a shootout. And so it falls to Joel and Tess to get Elle out of the zone. And they do that on foot. But there's a code going on, and that code that they have going on with there's a resistance, I believe there is. I forget the name of that resistance escapes me right now. But that resistance is who they're trying to get to. And the code they send through the radio, they have 70s, 80s, and 90s songs. And if there's an 80s song playing, that means there's trouble on the horizon and you better be careful. When that episode ends, there's 80s music playing. Of course, there's trouble on the horizon. This is a post-pandemic world. So there's all kind of post-pandemic things going on. And not only in future episodes are they going to run into more fungi zombies, but they're going to run into ruthless killers and factions of people who don't have their best interests in mind. So very much like The Walking Dead, like you would expect a post-apocalyptic or post-pandemic world to be like. Lots of ruthlessness, lots of cutthroatness, lots of savagery. And the world of The Last of Us appears to be no different. My assessment of The Last of Us television show, from what I've read, it's based on the first game only. Okay, so that means we aren't going to get all of these variations of fungi monsters, zombies, just yet. We might see a teeny tiny little bit of them in the first season, but I'm pretty sure the show has already been renewed for a second season on the strength of the first episode, kind of like how House of the Dragon was renewed for another season on the strength of the first episode alone. The Last of Us is currently streaming on HBO Max. That first episode premiered just this past Sunday. If you would like to see The Last of Us and make your own assessment about what it is and what it isn't, and that's why I'm just kind of giving you this brief synopsis just to kind of introduce you to the main players and what's going on right now. So usually what I like to do when I'm following a series is kind of give you a weekly blow by blow. Normally I might do it the day after. When I did House of the Dragon, I did those episodes like right after, the day after. Sometimes I would do them right after the episode and I wouldn't post them until the next day. What I will try to do is get the Last of Us episodes up by Tuesday, no later than Tuesday. If you've watched The Last of Us, drop it in the comments and tell me what you thought about the first episode, how it measures up to the video game. Well, that's it for now. Join me next week for the review of episode 2. But until then, I'll be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Big at each other.